Good morning, Leeds fans. So let's talk about Daniel Farke. He is the new Leeds United manager. So I'm going to make this longer form video. Hopefully you guys like it. I haven't done many of these, so bear with me. I'm trying to get my bearings on YouTube, moving over from TikTok into the YouTube space. So this is going to be a little bit longer, just me chatting through some of the positives, maybe some negatives to do with the latest Leeds United managerial appointment. So it's no surprise to us really, because it's been a few weeks this has been going on, that Farke has been highly tipped and looked next in line to become the manager. It has taken time because of the whole takeover situation. So the EFL still haven't granted the takeover of the 49ers enterprises coming in to replace Radrizzani. But things like that do take time. It was only submitted, I think, June the 9th, so it's not even been 4 weeks yet. So we've just got to be a little bit patient there. But Leeds, they had to move. They had to make the appointment because pre-season is here. The Championship kicks off in 4 weeks. We've got a friendly next week in Oslo against Man United, so things have to move. The whole appointment process, for me, actually was really well structured, well thought out, and I think they did a good job. Yes, we weren't kept updated, but we are the fans. We do deserve to know what's going on with the club. But if there isn't any proper news, it's sometimes just better not to know. So they started off with creating a list of different managers. Then they went through some Zoom calls or Teams calls, whatever they did. Then they did in-person interviews and they just narrowed it down to find the right man for the job. And that is Daniel Farke. When his name first popped up, I was a little bit hesitant because straight away I looked at what he'd done this year out in Germany or last year in Germany. And I thought about Norwich in the Premier League. But we're Leeds United, who have been relegated from the Premier League. We're in the Championship, and our number one goal is to get promotion out of the Championship. That's what we're aiming for. We want to get out of the Championship. So who are we going to bring in? We need to bring in a manager that has done that. And he's not just done it once, he's done it twice. I think the main surprise for us was that he has been given the 4-year contract. A lot of us thought that this might be a short-term thing. So for them to give him a 4-year contract, that's where there's been a lot of negotiations. And for me, as much as it's a 4-year contract, we know what things are like these days. Look at Graham Potter at Chelsea. He was given a long-term contract. He was gone after 6 months. It happens. Look at Jesse Marsh. He was on a long contract. We sacked him. It just depends on what the clauses are and things like that. So yes, it's a 4-year contract, but in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't really mean anything anymore. So I think the Leeds board wanted more of a short-term option. They wanted someone that was just going to get us out of the Championship. But Farke, he has a point to prove. He wants to prove not only can he get another team out the Championship, but with backing in the Premier League, that he can actually do a good job long term. And I think that's where they were trying to go backwards and forwards and agree on what the best situation would be, the best outcome for both parties. That's why in a lot of the press releases from yesterday, Farke was he said he had to be convinced. And some Leeds fans, as always, have been really dramatic. If he has to be convinced, why is he coming here? This, that and the other. Well, he needed to be convinced that the vision's aligned, because what is the point in a manager coming in if he can't trust the backroom staff, if he can't trust that the visions are aligned and that he is given the time to build a squad, build a team? And if it doesn't happen within a year, we might not necessarily bounce back to the Premier League within a season. Then he needs to know that he's backed for that second season. And I think that's really important. If we compare it to Bielsa, the last time we made an appointment a little bit like this, again, the first season, we played some great football, but it didn't all work out. And it was the second season in which we went on to win the Championship. And it may take us 2 years. It needs to take 2 years or less because of parachute payments and the financial side of things, the way it affects relegated teams now. It is really important that we can try and do this quickly, but he did say it's going to take some time. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was the fact that he mentioned the whole 4 weeks situation. So we've got 4 weeks until the season starts. He said he is obviously going to attempt to build a team, galvanise the team, bring them together, but it does take time. So for me, that indicates we may see a slow start to the season. But as we've seen in previous Championship seasons, it's all about momentum. So if you do start slow, but you're building, hopefully you get that momentum that carries you through at the right time in the right stage of the season. Another thing I want to talk about was how highly recommended he comes, not just from Norwich fans, but Norwich players as well. Some of the football they saw under FARKE, they really enjoyed it. They said with backing, they would have liked to see him stay on as manager. Yes, it didn't go well in the Premier League, but it wasn't necessarily down to FARKE. It was down to some of the backing from the board and giving him money to spend, basically. I don't see money being a massive problem at Leeds, especially since the 49ers Enterprises, they took over Leeds for 170 million rather than the 400 they were originally going to pay if we stayed in the Prem. We do have parachute payments coming. We've got quite a few players that we could release for a decent amount of money. I know a lot of them are going out on loan this season, but if they play well, hopefully their value rises. And then when they come back next year, we can sell them for better money, basically. So, other than that, I think we need to talk a little bit about FARKE as a manager. So one of the things that really impresses me is how well he speaks. I think he's very humble. He's very rational. And I think that we've seen that with Bielsa previously, and we see it with a lot of the better managers, is that they are rational thinkers, they're calm, and they're deliberate in their speech. We saw with Jesse Marsch the complete opposite. He was running his mouth to anyone would listen. It was all vibes and it was all hype. Grazia didn't say anything and he just had a really difficult job. But I'm sure with FARKE that we have a manager that is going to be rational. He's going to think carefully and he's going to be very deliberate in his approach to management and developing our squad. He's talked about the shared vision with him and the owners and the board, but he also mentioned that with the fans and with the players. And for me, that's really important. If you're bringing in players, they have to share in the manager's vision. Also, if his vision is strong enough, he may be able to keep some of those players that are on the fence. Everyone's talking about your Nontos, your Somervilles, Sinisteras, Adams. We've got a lot of really talented players who, if they're sold the right vision, potentially they stay at the club. I mean, don't take that as me saying they will stay or anything like that. They could be off. I don't know. But if there's a vision to buy into, and if there's that mentality, then they're more likely to buy into it and stay a little bit longer, even if it's just till January to give it a chance. But saying that, if players don't want to play for the club, they don't want to play for the manager, then I'm happy to wave them away. And I think FARKE is going to be the right side of being cutthroat with that. I don't think he's going to be begging players to stay. I think he will be, you stay, you go, you buy into my vision or you leave. Hopefully anyway. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the coaching situation. So he was very, very clear that he is a football manager, not a head coach. So he is the manager of Leeds United. And that for me speaks volumes, because that for me means he's going to have a say in transfers. He's going to want to bring in the right players. He'll have an involvement in recruitment and sales. And that's what we need as a manager. We don't want just a head coach where someone else is pulling all the strings, where they're sending players in that don't fit the system. We need it to be cohesive. And I think that for me is a really good sign. So he's brought in 3 of his previous coaching staff, and all 3 of those people were involved in his promotion success at Norwich. And I've just seen this morning on The Athletic that the goalkeeping coach, Abad, the Leeds goalkeeping coach, he's left. So I'm not sure what that says, but it could mean that maybe Meslier is on the way out and the Darlow links are true. For me, I would really like to see Darlow come in. I think he was really good when I've seen him play for Newcastle. And I think in the Championship, he would be so solid for us at the back. Not that I want to see Meslier leave, but if a player wants to go, let them go. I think we don't want to be in this constant, will they stay or will they go kind of situation. So next I want to talk about the kind of football we can expect. So I was reading an article, again, I think it was on The Athletic. It was Phil Hay and someone else. They were talking through the kind of football we can expect to see from FARKE and FARKE's Leeds United. And it got me excited. I'm not going to lie, because I've been saying for weeks and weeks on my videos on TikTok that I really want to see a manager that comes in that plays progressive, possession-based, attacking football. And some of the things I picked up from the article was that he likes possession-based football. That's great, all about that. And he's really keen on positional play. Not just in games, but also in the coaching. He brings in coaches that focus on key positions and also combination plays. And I love combination plays. Where you see them little triangles under Bielsa. Where you see them overlaps between Ayling and Rafinha. And that's what that makes football exciting. When you see those patterns of plays, you see the players not just rushing forwards like headless chickens, but actually progressing up the field. Not like what we saw under Jesse Marsch, more like what we saw under the god Bielsa. The other thing that, while we're speaking about Bielsa, that he's been quoted to say is he is a fan of, if he's got plan A, he tweaks plan A and he keeps pushing with plan A rather than revert to plan B. He's one of those managers that he'll keep pushing that, he'll keep refining that plan A. And yes, it can be frustrating as a fan. Yes, we saw it go wrong with Bielsa, but I'm a big fan of that. If you've got a style of play, let's commit to it, let's double down on it, and let's go for it. So I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. It's 10 minutes. This is the longest video I've ever done. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching it. If you've stayed this long, I appreciate it. I'm going to try and do more long form content for YouTube. If you like shorter stuff, check out my TikTok, because that's all like 1-2 minute videos. But yeah, if you can share the video, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.